Unspoken Issues.
Now we're going to get into our sixth story here. It is titled Yule Memory. This is an 8-page story, features Thanos, but listen to this creative team. Jim Starlin writing, Ron Lim on pencils, inked by Terry Austin, and lettered by Brad Joyce, and colored by Tom Vincent. We got to talk real quick about the dynamic team of Jim Starlin and Ron Lim. So these two are pretty synonymous with Marvel Cosmic. I took a look at their works on Mike's Amazing World of Comics and cross-referenced what books they worked on together. It looks like the first book that they worked on was Silver Surfer number 34, which released December 19th, 1989. And from that point forward, they were pretty regular on Silver Surfer all the way up to issue 50. Around July of 1990, these two work on Thanos Quest, issues 1 and 2. And then, of course, Starlin works on Infinity Gauntlet, and Ron Lim jumps in on issue 4, 5, and 6 with him. So that's in 1991, and then 1992 rolls around, and we have Infinity War, issues 1 through 6. And that is kind of where this story lands, because it's right in between Infinity War number 6, which dropped September of 92. This story in Marvel Holiday Special was on shelves November of 1992. And then in about 5 months, in April of 93, on the shelves is Infinity Crusade, and they will work together up until Infinity Crusade number 6. Then they come together for one more work for Marvel after this. Thanos Annual number 1. The story is titled Thanos, Damnation and Redemption. And that was in 2014. Now these guys also head over to DC. They are in the mid-2000s, about 2007. They both work on Mystery in Space, write a couple Captain Comet stories, and then the Thanagar Holy War 1 through 8 in 2008. This team's been together. They know Thanos and Marvel Cosmic. I'm a big fan of Ron Lim's pencils. I love how he renders some of the figures. The figure work is amazing. Let's get into the story. Yule Memory follows Thanos as he supervises the cleanup of one of his old hideouts and orders his servants to dispose of forgotten relics from his past. When he notices a small doll among the discarded items, it triggers a memory of raising Gamora as a child. Thanos recalls how he tried to give her fragments of a normal childhood, birthdays, holidays, and even Yule celebration modeled partly on Earth's Christmas, while simultaneously training her to become a deadly warrior. During one such holiday, Gamora receives a doll as a gift, a rare moment of warmth and innocence between her and Thanos. But Thanos also recalls when an assassin infiltrated the base and nearly killed Thanos, only to be stopped when young Gamora intervenes and saves his life. The resulting blast destroys her doll, and Thanos, shaken, promises to take her to the lagoon to watch dolphins. An unexpected gesture of kindness. Back in the present, Thanos reflects on how Gamora ultimately turned against him and dismisses the doll as meaningless, ordering it destroyed. Alone, he insists that he feels nothing and that caring is weakness, even as his hesitation and anger suggest otherwise, leaving the story on an unresolved note of denial and buried regret. So, for my thoughts on this one, I'm not used to Thanos as much of a father figure. I'm kind of used to him in the MCU, In the comics, though, I didn't read enough stories to gather him as a father figure, so if I would have picked this up and read this would have been probably new to me for sure. But the MCU, Thanos is cold, calculating, but he's still affectionate to Gamora in the movies. So seeing him as a father figure here doesn't feel too out of character. And for 1992, this was probably a fresh take on Thanos actually caring. The emotional tone of this story, it's reflective, it's a subdued tone. That landed for me. It felt like a rare look into Thanos' inner life. There wasn't a whole lot of surprise here. It matched his brooding and introspective nature. As for young Gamora, I mean, she's shown as a child here. Even though Thanos is training her to be this deadly weapon, she has this innocence about her. Every killer starts somewhere. Thanos shaped her into what she's going to become. But seeing her as a kid adds this emotional weight. And what I think this story really is about, it's about regret. Emotional repression. Denial. The last scene in this story is Thanos walking over to a panel after he has ordered the doll to be destroyed. He has his hand on an electronic panel, and you can see that he's gripping it so tight, all of a sudden it just crumbles underneath him. So you can see that he's wrestling with these feelings. He thinks caring's a weakness, but who's he angry at? Is he angry about the fact that, or does he regret the bond that he once had with Gamora, or does he regret that he ever allowed himself to care for her? And yes, Thanos says he feels nothing here. To me, it kind of reads like he's just trying to deceive himself or convince himself. He pushes down these feelings because he sees emotions as weakness. But I feel that deep inside him, he knows he's wrong. Does this humanize Thanos a little bit? Yes, I think it definitely does. I mean, he tried to give Gamora things he knew weren't normal for her situation. Birthdays, holidays. He didn't have to do that, but that right there shows that there's some type of compassion that he's feeling. I did think it was great that Jim Starlin and Ron Lim came together to tell this tiny little story. And if anybody understands Thanos' psychology, it's Jim Starlin. Ron Lim, again, big fan of his art. There's an assassination sequence in here where that assassin tries to kill Thanos. There's no dialogue. It's just pure visual storytelling. It's great. It's Ron Lim giving you a little bit of a Christmas present. And as for the pacing of the story, 8 pages again. We're fitting a lot of stuff in here in the short story range. The story didn't feel too gimmicky. I almost compare it to the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. It's a great short film. Cosmic holiday stories can work, and that's a perfect example. I think this did a fine job of using Christmas as a vehicle to tell the story in a cosmic setting. I know that many people, including myself, when the holidays roll around, you start to look at some of the things you've done in the past, some of the regrets you might have. Thanos is dealing with the loss of his daughter, whether he likes to try and say that he cares or not. Most likely he does. And there are plenty of people out there that won't pick up a phone to call somebody that they haven't talked to in years because they've convinced themselves that they don't care. Thanos is a great representation of that. You can talk yourself into believing you feel no emotion, you have no emotional attachment to somebody, yet you have all those great memories, but something happened, and now you don't talk. Would I revisit this at the holidays? Probably not a seasonal reread for me. I mean, it's more interesting as a character study of Thanos, in my opinion. As the story goes, though, the most memorable moment has got to be Gamora saving Thanos by throwing her doll at this assassin. Thanos realizes he owes his life to her. It's very hard to read Thanos' face to find out any emotion. He's just a brick wall. But these past actions show that he did care. The tragedy is that him and Gamora are so far apart from who they were then and who they are now. And I sympathize, but I mean, really, Thanos is written to be cold. He's written to be cruel. Maybe he's a bit misguided. And convinced emotions are weakness. And that belief shaped everything he became. So where does this story land when it comes to the rest of the ones in this book? I want to say it's going to be top 4 just because of Ron Lim and Jim Starlin writing a Thanos story. And this is peak 90s Infinity era. Folks, this is what our revered Marvel Cinematic Universe in its heyday was based on.